Hi, everybody, and welcome to day 45 of Virtual English 2. Today, we're going to continue critical approaches to literature. Yesterday, we talked about the three main types of critical approaches to literature that we're going to take, reader response, sociological, and archetypical. There are more out there than just those three, but those are the three that I've chosen for us to kind of think about and interact with. So reader response, once again, is just what you think. You, the reader, plus your reading situation, the situation which you're reading it, and plus the text itself is how you make meaning. And this is the perfect example that if we were face to face in class, your reading situation would be completely, radically different than if we were reading it together as a class. So that is altering how your reader response would be with this particular text. Sociological is just kind of examining how the text is acting as a mirror to society. There are 7 different ways that you can kind of examine that particular lens as you go through it. So you can look at how the text talks about men and women. You could talk about how the text talks about religion, how it talks about socioeconomic status, race, you name it. All right, that's sociological. And sometimes if a thing isn't mentioned, that's called reading against a text, you're going to have to kind of go the extra mile, see between the lines what is being said since it was not included. Then the last one is archetypical, where there's all these different archetypes that exist out there in the world. Symbolic archetypes is the big one that you mostly will latch onto, like different colors, different shapes. They have certain symbolic archetypes associated with them. We also talked about plots that are archetypical and characters that are archetypical. There is this story that we're going to read has a archetypical plot and has an archetypical character in it, and also has symbols and all that fun stuff that you're going to be looking into. So what you're going to do is you're going to be reading The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Now, this is the online version of it, and I will post a link to it. The online version of it does have an audio version that is read by M.A.M. Holmes, if you would like. This is an excellent story. I know some of you have already read it, but once again, think about it from an archetype, from a reader response. The person you read this 2 years ago is not the same person you are now. If you read this last year, you're still not the same person. And also, we're looking at it from a different lens. We're not exclusively looking at it from a reader response lens. I'm wanting you more to look at it through a sociological lens. Now, you'll read this story probably 2 or 3 times because there's different views that I want you to kind of look at it through, and we'll talk about those tomorrow. But right now, I just need you to read the story, okay? Right now, I just need you to read your story, and I need you to take annotations over it. What's annotations, you might ask? Well, annotations are just notes, just thoughts that you're having as you're interacting with the text. And believe it or not, even drawing pictures can be technically count as annotations. So here's just a couple of things to help you know what an annotation is. Annotations are making connections to the text, to your life, to your prior knowledge, to your prior experiences, to the real world, current events, and other texts. So just making connections to the bigger world, seeing how this text plays a role in the bigger world. They can also be you making predictions about what you think is going to happen next. You stopping and thinking and summarizing what you've read before you continue. Asking questions. By the way, if you ask questions, you need to get the answers if the answers pop up, you want to annotate that. Free write about what you've read, write things out to help you visualize it. So drawing pictures technically, as I said earlier, counts as an annotation as long as it's relevant picture. You're not just drawing a picture of a truck, even though a truck doesn't show up in the story. Then you can talk about write about text features that the author uses. This is where we're talking about like foreshadowing, when the author would use foreshadowing, when the author would use certain archetypical symbols and whatnot. You retell what happened. You make note of where you had to go back and reread things, and you note on patterns in the structure. So things that are repeated, words or phrases that are repeated, the word choice that the author used, etc. Now, there's a little bit more clear way to do it. So most of the time at the end of each page, I want you to do one of the following. This is for people who struggle. Most people do all these things naturally. This is what good readers just naturally do as they're interacting with a text, is they do all these things. But this is to help make that invisible process more visible. It helps you with the building of meaning and helps you keep track, and you can go back and revisit and see where your meaning was built from there. So at the end of each page, I want you to, about at the end of each page, if you can do more than at the end of each page, that's even better. But at the end of each page, as a rule of thumb, I want you to try to do the following. You can make a prediction, ask a question, clarify a misunderstanding, make a comment, or make a connection. You use the STEM starters chart on the back to help you with do one of these 5 things. When we read anything, we're trying to build meaning, understanding. By doing this, you're making the invisible process of meaning building more visible. Now, that chart I'm talking about is not on the back. It'll be on a separate document. They'll look like this. I believe I titled it STEM Starters. Yes, Annotation STEM Starters chart. And these are just different ways that you could possibly start off your annotations with the make a prediction. I predict that, fill in the blank. Ask a question. Now, once again, if you ask a question, you get the answer to the question, you need to clarify it. Okay. You can also make a comment. You're kind of just thinking as you're interacting with it, and making connections is the strongest one that you could possibly do. So what I want you to do, homework assignment, as you can see on the thing, is I want you to read The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. This is the PDF that I'm going to upload with the story, but I'm also going to give you the actual link to the website so you can read it off of the New Yorker and listen to it if you want and all that fun jazz. And what I want you to do is you to come up with 10 annotations as you interact with this. Tomorrow I'll post another assignment for you to do along with this, but right now I just need you to read the story and come up with 10 annotations over the story. That's it for today. Tomorrow you'll have another assignment that will also involve the lottery, and you'll be able to use these annotations to help you out. You're going to have to reread it because because critical approaches to literature, I'm asking you to look at the piece of literature through a different lens each time. So you're going to require you to do multiple read throughs. And honestly, it's not going to take you that long to read through each of these. And I'm going to give you a decent amount of time to get the homework assignment done. So for today, just read The Lottery by Shirley Jackson and find out what's going on with the Delacroix. Delacrix is what they originally are called, but then they point out that their name is Delacroix. So find out what's going on with the Delacroix and take 10 annotations over that. Once again, how do you do annotations? All you're doing is you are making a prediction, asking a question, clarifying a misunderstanding, making a comment, or making a connection, and drawing pictures as long as they're relevant to the story. Technically, there's that as well. 10 annotations over The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. That's due tomorrow at 11:59, and I'll be back tomorrow with actual formal assignment for this lesson. All right, that's all I got for you. Enjoy. I really enjoyed the story, and if you've read it before, read it again. It's a really good story.